Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Memo bibiara kwaba eba PENDREAM TV. So we are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, bell notification no. Na share ma afofro and can be comment section ho. Na what day wadrentre aba. Sam George are exposing a Ursula Owusu Ekufu. Efa a SIM card registration. Ya a course in the previous administration. Now what scandals ahodo ya a course. Nientia the NIA and answer the NTA eba beye registrations for and yema naka was a Ursula Owusu Ekufu nemum 1 year. Some companies be an opesa or contract omo na omo eba into the registration process. Ya kenatefa ya na oye the NIA boss no anti asentia emma registration process no anya successful. Sam George details to abra na okasa key points on TV3. Ya me pesa obeka me ho ne yakoti the details from Sam George. Say utie ensem na you definitely have a comment. Now they wadwenche aba comment section ho. Adwenche no na why no constructive. Yentie Sam George expose or the atuja efa SIM card registration which was championed by Ursula Owusu Ekufu in the previous administration.
Why do we have to go through this SIM registration again? Why do you want to put us through this stress again?
First and foremost, I would say that I can appreciate the apprehension in the public, especially when you remember what we went through between 2021 and 2023. But I would start by saying that the cues you saw, the difficulties you had in 2021 to 2023 will never happen under this new registration.
It will never happen?
Never happen. It's simply going to be because this process is going to be driven by technology. It's going to be driven by the comfort of the consumer and the convenience that we can offer to the consumer. It's not going to be driven by procurement. That I must state emphatically. If you remember, in September 2021, Professor Kenatefa issued a statement, a 3-pager, effectively saying that that registration process could not be authenticated against the NIA's database. Now let's be clear. And I've seen a 2-pager issued by my predecessor, the Honorable Ursula Owusu Ekufu, where she tries to challenge the explanation that was made by His Excellency President Mahama in Sunyani during the reset tour. Let's be very clear. She admits in her statement that there were weaknesses in the system that she developed.
Okay, yes, so that's the first point. It says the 2022-2023 SIM registration was introduced to fix the weak and unreliable 2010-2011 system by linking SIM cards to the Ghana card. The process worked in 2 phases or stages, was limited because full biometric verification could not be completed due to lack of NIA integration.
So the minister admits that there was no biometric authentication. In her own statement, this is not Sam George. So for those who say that, why do you want to do this? The minister who oversaw the process has just answered the question. Ursula Owusu Ekufu herself has admitted that the process she carried out did not carry out full biometric verification. If she herself, I mean, if the tilapia comes from the bottom of the sea to tell you that the crocodile is sick, you better believe, because they all live in the bottom of the river. So listen, what we're doing today is to cure the failings in the system that was attempted to be done. And why could there be no NIA integration? That's the question we should ask ourselves. Why did Ghanaians queue for 2 years and still we're told that there was no full biometric verification? Simply because somebody wanted to do procurement. It's about procurement.
Is that the only?
The NIA has a system that allows for you to integrate directly with them. So you use their system and you pay for their system. The minister at the time decided that she had a private company that will do the authentication. And the NIA said, we will not do that connection.
Is that what you were told?
It's not what I am told. I have inherited the ministry. That is the reason why the NCA could not. That's why the system that was run by Kelny GVG could not integrate with the NIA. It's as simple, let's call a spade a spade. Since the minister wants to come out and challenge the facts, let's put all the facts out.
That there was a company?
Kelny GVG, she contracted Kelny GVG to run the SIM registration. They put out that app that was only available on Android, and which meant that every iOS or phone could not even use the app. And there was an impasse between her and Kelny GVG on one side and the NIA led by Kenatifa on the other side. And that's why you couldn't have this integration done. So when the minister tells you that she couldn't have biometric integration done, she should have told us the reason why that couldn't have been done. Simply because somebody wanted to do procurement.
Okay. Causing financial loss.
Okay, and that's why Ghanaians were made to queue for 2 years to carry out, for want of a better phrase. And you know, we struggled, but because I believe, and I agree with her on one thing, governance is a continuum. We've looked at it. Look, the people at the NCA, and Alfred, you were at the meeting at the NCA. The NCA is the regulator. In 2021 to 2023, you were in this space. Did the NCA ever meet with the media to give you a briefing like we did last week, or this week, on Tuesday this week? No. The technocrats at the NCA have not changed. In fact, the person who we appointed as Director General was Head of Engineering, Director Engineering under Owusu. They were sidestepped because they raised critical issues about the processes that were being undertaken. The only difference you have today is you have a government that listens to the intelligence and wisdom of the technocrats there. The technocrats came to me, I asked them, why did the process fail? What were the challenges? Did you raise them? And after I saw all the responses, they came with their issues. And I said to them, this is the policy direction we will take. And I've allowed them go through the process. It's been 1 year of detailed work and collaboration. So Alfred, let's be clear. We will have, and I keep saying it's not a re-registration, it's a registration.
So what? You don't recognize what happened between 2021
Alfred,
and 2023?
There was no legal basis for it.
So there was no legal basis. You had, 30 million SIMs registered, and over 80 already been successfully verified.
Alfred, the 2021 to 2023 registration was done on the back of LI 2111. Now, if anybody can just Google LI 2111 because I'm speaking. LI 2111 is not a legislative instrument for SIM registration. It's a legislative instrument for the use of the national identification card, the Ghana card. So the LI 2111, which Owusu based her registration on, was an LI that Parliament passed stipulating what you can use the Ghana card for. One of the functions, one of about 18 or 19 functions that was spelled out in that LI was the registration of SIM cards. But that in itself was not an LI for the registration of SIM cards. The only LI that Parliament has passed for the registration of SIM cards was an LI in 2010 that Haruna Idrisu presented for the 2010 registration. Now, at that time, you had not had the nationwide rollout of the Ghana card as you have today. And so at that time, there was multiplicity of documents to be used in that LI for registration of SIM cards. And if you go back and pick my criticism of Owusu in 2021 to 2023, I asked her to present an LI to Parliament because what she was doing was illegal because the law at the time for registration of SIM cards allowed you to use your NHIS, allowed you to use driver's license, passports, which was actually what we had moved away from. I agree with Esther that we should use one unified document, the Ghana card. But you must have a legislative instrument backing it. As we speak today, we've drafted a new legislative instrument. We've had extensive engagement with the industry, the Chamber of Telecoms. They've made their input. In fact, we've had 4 rounds of inputs by them. And we've said to them that at the end of this month, we'll complete the entire consultations and lay the new LI when Parliament resumes in May. It would go for 21 days. Now, that LI is what will govern the processes so that when you pick the LI, you understand the legal basis. Take, for example, that's why today, foreigners come into our country. You say that people should only register a SIM card with their Ghana card. A foreigner does not have a Ghana card. So when a foreigner comes into the country and is allowed to stay here for 90 days, how do they get a SIM card? That's why you have black market operations, and that's why you have people registering SIM cards for people. But in other jurisdictions, you have a legal framework for what we call tourist SIMs, which are valid and activated for 90 days or on the date of exit from the country, after which those SIMs are churned. We don't have that framework today. Those are some of the things we're dealing with today. That's why when they carried out the SIM registration, and again, Ursula also admits to this in her statement she put out. She said that as they carried out the registration, they kept amending and improving the system. When you don't have a framework, then you are blown and tossed about by the wind or any wind that blows. So when they were running the system, and then people complained, oh, we have people outside the country. How do they register? Then they quickly came up with an app. Well, the app was only on Android. So if you used an iPhone, you were discriminated against. Don't forget, our constitution says we should not discriminate on the basis of, for example, a software or firmware that your phone uses. But the point we are making here, Alfred, this registration that's going to start is going to be backed by law. We've worked not just with the NIA. Alfred, we've worked with the NIA to ensure that we have a seamless real-time verification against their database, something that didn't exist the last time. We're working with the Office of Registrar of Companies to now ensure that every business SIM, we are able in real time to identify from the ORC's database who are the directors of that company, and then extrapolate the Ghana card details of the owners of that company and link to all the business SIMs that are registered. We're working with the Ghana Immigration Service to ensure that all passports of foreigners who enter the country, who apply for a registration, were able to see their entry and exit date in real time. So that's another leg of collaboration that's happening. We're working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. For all foreign diplomats and staff of foreign embassies in the country who use a foreign ministry issued ID card to also do verification of them in real time. We're also working with multiple state agencies, including the police and all of that, to ensure that the system is robust enough. So this is not...
all of this doesn't happen in the 2021 to 2023 SIM registration?
Alfred, unfortunately, no.
Because Owusu says over 80% of the about 30 million SIM cards that were registered within that period have already been successfully verified too. That claims that the excise had no value are inconsistent, especially because, and here's the point that said, the current approach uses the same methods.
Alfred, I've just explained the methods and what we are doing. And for those who followed the process, how is it that, I mean, the claim she's making that they follow the same methods is not founded by her own statement. She's saying that what she did not have verification against the NIA database. And I'm telling you that, and at the meeting where we were, I'm not just saying it, the executive secretary of the NIA was present and admitted to the fact that they've worked with us. In fact, for us to get where we've gotten to, and you know, there's a second leg to this whole thing. People say, and Ursula alluded to that again, why don't you just take the 80% that have already been verified? Let's be clear. 30 million SIM cards per her reckoning were registered under her process. What we did was an audit sample of just 2 million. So it is incorrect to say that 80% of the 30 million cards have been verified. Now, we ran a biometric verification on the 2 million sample that we picked randomly. There was 0% fingerprint verification, 0%. None, not even one matched. And that's very simple technology as well. The fingerprints were taken by the NIA using contact means. You put your hand on a device and it captured your fingerprint, just like what the Electoral Commission did. So you remember that whenever we go to vote, what we do is we put our finger on a biometric verification device because it's contact. What Ursula did was, NIA has a contact-based fingerprint system. Then she says, I'm taking photographs of contactless photographs of your fingerprint. You can't match that system anyway. What we then did was we used the facial recognition. Facial recognition was contactless. So we did that match across board. Now, Alfred, what we found out, and again at the meeting at the NCA, we showed you evidence of it. You saw cards that were verified. In the 80% that we verified as against the NIS database. When we did further forensic analysis, you realize that 2 registrations have gone through as properly verified because the PIN, the Ghana card number, is the same. But when you pull up the record of the exact Ghana card that was used, you then begin to see disparities. The name on the Ghana card is different. Same Ghana card number, but different first name, different last name on the 2 cards. The height of the person is different. The date of birth of the person is different. Even the photograph of the person on the 2 cards, which have the same Ghana card number, is different. So you realize that one of those cards is a clone. But you see, because you just buy, basically it was, let's all go through, almost like what we saw with the free SHS at the beginning. Everybody just go through. We allowed everybody go through. You now have fraudulent Ghana card registrations that were passed through into the system. And that's why we cannot say that everybody who is on the existing system just go on. We need to do a fresh liveliness test. And Alfred, this is where the catch is. In this studio, if I look across, everybody here is holding a smartphone. It means that everybody in this studio has no business queuing to register their SIM card. Because what's going to happen is that I'm using an Android. I see that Prof is using Prof Akosia. I'm using an Android, but Prof Akosia, Kofi,
Me too.
and are all using Apple.
Yeah.
Are all using iOS. We have a system that is now available on both Play Store and iOS, Android and iOS. Now you download the app. When you download the app asks you, and you can use either the app or USSD. It asks you to enter your Ghana card number. Once you enter your Ghana card number, in real time, it pulls up the biometrics against the NIA database. And then once you're using the app, it will ask you to do a liveliness test. And for those of you who use modern day banking, even when not, forget modern day banking, when you bought your phone, if you want to use your face to unlock your phone, when you buy a new phone, your face is scanned by your phone with your camera. It will tell you to turn your face, turn it around, and that's the same thing you're going to do. It's just going to ask you to verify your face. It will take the contours of your face, match it in real time against what the NIA holds.
I see.
Once that is matched, it allows you to register the SIM that you are talking, the SIM that is in your device. Then it makes you choose that SIM or whichever SIM it is, the first one, as your primary number. You lock that in as your primary number, and what we do at the back end is we register that SIM and also register the device on which that registration has been done. We pull the IMEI and match both together. So now we've matched your SIM card, your Ghana card, and your phone IMEI in one device. That's completely different from what Owusu did. This is the first time we're having 3 systems matching to identify that individual. Now, maybe Kofi has a second number. So Kofi wants to register that number. When Kofi tries to register that number, we will send an OTP to Kofi's primary number, which we have verified, to be sure that it is Kofi who is doing that registration. Because if someone picks your Ghana card and tries to register, because you have your Ghana card is now linked to your SIM card, it will send the OTP automatically to that number. So that person will not be able to register. So the issue of ghost SIMs will now be reduced or completely removed. Now, what this allows us to do is it allows us to deal with the issue of Momo fraud decisively. Today, what's the cost of Momo fraud? 10 Ghana cedis. Why do I say the cost of Momo fraud is 10 cedis? If you report a number and we investigate and that number is engaged in Momo fraud, we block the number. But how much is a new SIM? 10 Ghana cedis. The person buys a new SIM, throws out the old SIM, puts it in his phone and continues. But now with the CEIR, the Central Equipment Identity Register that we're building, and linking the IMEIs to the SIM, when your number is reported, don't forget that SIM has been linked to an IMEI of a device. That device is blocked. It then means that to use if you go and get a new SIM, you need a new phone because now your phone has become a piece of plastic. We will block it across all the networks because today, even if we decided to even block it, there was no way to block it across all networks. So people just migrate from one network to another to commit the fraud. Now we can block you across all SIM. So your device and the SIM increases the cost for the fraudster. It means he needs to find some 2,000 to 3,000 to buy a new phone. Now beyond that,
But
we
it
have your
doesn't
Ghana card.
It doesn't eliminate mobile money fraud completely.
It raises the bar. But then beyond that, if a number linked to a Ghana card is found to have a second report, so for example, the person has registered 2 SIMs on that Ghana card. The first one is flagged in Momo fraud. We block it. He uses the second number. Once we have a second one, we don't just block your device now, we also block your Ghana card. Now, if we block your Ghana card, it means that you cannot access any other service in the country with a Ghana card. Don't forget, your Ghana card is now your TIN number.
Let's report yourself.
You have to report yourself to the police. You cannot get your health insurance renewed. You cannot get your driver's license renewed. You can't access your banking. So, for anybody engaged in mobile money fraud, what we are doing is making it a very expensive venture that ultimately, when your Ghana card is blocked, because now we've done the direct verification and our systems are speaking, once we flag you and block you on our NTA system, the NIA does same to you, you are deprived of accessing any government services across the whole spectrum. That becomes a deterrent. That is the way you fight fraud. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. The people who will have to show up are persons who have challenges with their ability to do the registration. And we expect that to be a minimal number. And even with that, we're expecting it to be on a booking basis. So the way you book for your passport or you book for a visa, using USSD code, all the telcos are going to open mobile shops and you book an appointment. So you are not going to have 1,000 people show up at a shop because if you go there based on your appointment. Apart from that, the ministry is converting all our post offices across the country. And Ghana Post has a huge footprint across the country in rural communities. Yeah. We're opening up self-service centers and assisted service centers in all our centers. Don't forget that part of the biggest problem people had in 2021 was you had only 60% of the country having Ghana cards. Today, you have over 90%. But at that time, there were only 7 centers nationwide that were issuing Ghana cards. 7. Today, you have 294. So anybody who needs a Ghana card, and what we are doing even with our mobile teams is working with the NIA, we're embedding NIA registration teams with our mobile teams. So when you go into a community, the mobile team is there, they register the Ghana card for you, they register your SIM for you, and you move on. So this is a completely different process. I can appreciate the Honorable Owusu Ekufu's discomfort in the fact that, people were put through a lot of hassle, and it amounted to nothing. But the facts are the facts. But you see, if she herself has admitted that there was no biometric verification, we need to have a database that's biometrically verified.
I'm going to come to you, but there are quite a number of messages. Dr. Alfred Appiah is a data scientist. He says, good morning, Alfred. I want to find out from the minister, when I last watched him address the matter, he explained that they were conducting a validation of the biometric data previously collected against the NIA database. At the time, he indicated that 80% of that exercise had been completed and that many subscribers would not need to resubmit their biometric information. What is the current status?
I think I've answered that in my response already. I've answered that by elucidating what the process is. And again, I stated that we did an audit based on 2 million we took a sample size to do the audit. And that audit established for us the challenges with even those that went through the fake documentation that was used to do the previous registration. Right. And that's the reason why everybody needs to do it. But that's why we put convenience and comfort of the customer above any other policy consideration. And then ensure that now you can sit at home with your smartphone and do your own device registration.
I see. And this is another point that Owusu Ekufu makes. That overall, yes, the exercise he concedes was not perfect, but created a solid foundation that should be improved rather than dismissed based on what you're having now.
You see, the challenge here is you cannot build on a flawed foundation.
So this entire process was flawed in between 2021 and 2023?
The entire process, why we're all asked to get a Ghana card and queue, was to ensure biometric verification. Listen, the entire 2021 to 2023, the reason why we couldn't continue with the 2010 registration was because we were supposed to get biometric verification of our SIM cards against the NIA. Owusu has admitted that in the registration she did between 2021 to 2023, there was no biometric verification. So how do we build on a flawed foundation? The woman herself has admitted that, yes, I did some registration. But her registration clearly was not different from the 2010 to 2011 one, which we all agreed was problematic. The only difference was in 2010, people used multiple national IDs. In 2022, they used one national ID. But the reason for doing this was not about using one ID. It was about using one ID that you could verify biometrically. So the fundamental basis of the registration was biometric verification. If biometric verification did not happen, we can't work on the basis of that. So unfortunately, yes, it was a good attempt. But you see, this is how and we've got a lecturer here, they'll tell you, good attempt, but you missed the point.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.